Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, sorry. Sorry for that small little delay there. I was grabbing some coffee and what have you. But, yeah, anyways, we'll obviously get started here in just a bit when when the few start to hop on. Alright, cool. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, whomever else may be in the chat this morning. Like I said, we're going to give it, I don't know, a couple minutes till a few more people stroll in. Again, it's probably only going to be, 10, 15 people max. So once we start getting closer to that number, we'll kind of really start going over some stuff. But in the meantime, I'll just put some text on the screen so you guys pretty much know what has happened, what's going on. I mean, you can already see a little bit there, but we'll just try to kind of highlight a couple things until maybe some more people roll in, so that way you're pretty much up to speed even without me saying anything. Okay, there you go. That's pretty much majority of the story right there. But like I said, we'll really dive into it here the next 10 or so minutes. Dang it. Or wait, maybe did I miss that one? Yeah, I did a little bit. Of course. LGC. There were couple little penny stocks today that were decent, not really great. Dang it. I was gonna grab that one. Hopefully that does well. Yeah, there was a couple little penny stock trades that I made today. One was on BIAF. That one worked out okay. Just missed WHWK. Was a little late to that one, so not chasing it, but that one's doing okay today. So there's a couple things that ended up taking off that got a piece of. Overall, not really any spectacular trade, that's for sure. And that's usually the case. You usually always kind of nibbling, and you hope to grab a nice one for the day, but it doesn't always work out that way. But yeah, for the moment, just riding the market up long. I've been swinging the market since last night. Well, yeah, I guess yesterday afternoon. It's right there on the screen. We got about 5 people in here, which is great. We'll wait just a couple more minutes, and then we'll start, talking your ear off, I guess. Also, something I learned doing a little research about YouTube streams is that the YouTube metrics also like to see that people are chatting in the live stream, as that will help in the future promote it. If there's less talking going on in the live stream, then obviously YouTube doesn't like that. Not something that I would ever even really care of. Obviously, if you guys want to be quiet and never say anything, that's fine. But if you guys feel free, you can create some conversation in the chat room, and I guess that actually does help YouTube algorithms. But I guess it's after like a 3 to 6 month period or so. But anyways, or don't say anything, we'll just hang out. Alright, so I guess we'll get rocking and rolling here. It's 8:58. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. I gotta let people, they know. It's 9 a.m. I get on a little early. I get excited. Yeah, I don't. Oh, I forgot to look at the economic calendar today. Let's see what's going on. What's today? Thursday? Yep, Thursday. Obviously we had retail sales, core PPI year over year, and then we're gonna have initial jobless claims already happened, and then a bunch of Fed speak. So a lot of different catalysts today that could, affect the market a little bit here and there. When I say affect the market, right, like obviously news announcements, data announcements, things like that, they do affect the market. So it's not that we don't care. You always hear me say I don't care, right, about news, right? Well, like, generally speaking, any news articles we don't really care about. But as far as like economic data and releases like that, we do care about because it does move the market. I would say it moves the market less based off of the actual numbers, but more based off of where we want to move markets in the short term, right? They could have, lasting effects, but as far as, trading and how the market moves in real time, markets just use economic data releases to move the markets to prices that the market already wants to go to. So it just basically about who gets on the wrong side, and we just use them to move a market. So, for example, let's say like inflation numbers came out good, the market could still go down. And if it still goes down, it's just because the markets want it to go down, right? Maybe less of the CPI, more about how do we just swindle the market, really. So, anyways, there is some stuff that came out today. Again, not particularly focused on it that much. So we'll start. Good morning, PD. All right, so obviously yesterday at the end of the day, the market flipped back to the long side. So essentially, we just been riding up the market long. I got some UPRO, 3 times leverage ETF long. So I'm just going to ride that until the wheels fall off or until I want to close it, I guess. So we're long buys, and that long started last night or yesterday afternoon when the market flipped over the 50 SMA right there. So it's actually might be a little wrong. It might be a little lower. I think the 50 SMA was like a hair lower, but either way, it's pretty much that. So market flipped back long yesterday, right when the 50 SMA obviously flipped up. Doesn't look like much on the screen, but we'll go back into we'll go to the SPY first. And I always got to do this because obviously I don't know who's new to our stream or not. So someone will come in and go, "Oh, this is so so confusing," and it's like, where are you deriving that price level from? So I get it. It could be confusing in that sense. So I always got to go back to this chart and just explain how we even get that price point. Again, it's literally one moving average right here. 50 SMA. Now, I could put the level there, but that's not legit, right? If we're tracking where the market actually flipped positive, then this isn't legit. That's just where the moving average was at the close. If we look at where the moving average is actually at when the price interacts yesterday, when it's coming back up above, it's really right here, okay? So when we go into the after hours, that's just our reference point, right? And so you can see, essentially, yesterday, and I posted tons of YouTube shorts about this yesterday. I made a post of like 7 videos. People are probably getting annoyed, but ultimately I kept posting videos of the markets in the real time to explain all of these things that were happening and how we would continue to move the markets, whether up, whether down, etc. And trying to post those all in one 2-minute quick video so that you could just go to the channel, watch the video, like, oh, I see why the market's doing this. Like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Rather than having to sit through the streams. Or watch a 15-minute video, so on and so forth. And then also trying to make the videos less hindsight, right? More foresight, right? So, you could come to the channel, you could watch the video, and have an idea of what is actually going to happen to the market going forward, right? For maybe the day or maybe next hours or so on and so forth, as opposed to coming to a video and be like, oh, this is looking at price action from a year ago telling me to buy a dip, right? So that's kind of the effort that I'm trying to put forth on those YouTube videos, shorts. But anyways, right, so over the green line, market does what? Flips positive. Right before the close, they yank the market to back test support, so 50 SMA, right? But it holds, so algorithms are holding, right? So market stays up, and then we manipulate the markets higher through the after hours with the futures markets, all right? So the market is more of a macro long, if you will, as we're up and over, okay? Now, yeah, so that's it, right? As far as that goes. So yeah, we've just been riding up the markets long since last night. If when momentum stops, maybe we'll shift bearish, right? Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. Well, it's not that I don't know. It's just like I basically have to keep talking, right? So what? All right. So markets are swing long, right? So you might wake up this morning and go, oh, well, hold on, before I even get there, let's just keep going on. All right, so let's put a vertical line here, Alt V. All right, so that's where the market flipped long. So this is all pretty much a long. So I'm going to draw a box like that. That's all just a long. All right, so this is what I would say just a buy move. All right, so this is just a long bias move, long bias manipulation higher through after hours. All right, and then another part of the strategy is when we wake up in the morning and we see that the market is doing decently well, right? So you can see clearly the market's been doing well this morning. That's a pretty well established trend to the upside in the pre-market. And when I say trend, just price action trending upwards, pretty clean. So a lot of times when it looks similar to that, we'll take a volume weighted average price. We're going to anchor to the low, which I posted a YouTube short video about this morning before it even happened. So when the market was trading at the highs, I posted a YouTube short saying, hey guys, we're looking to pull the markets down to here, and then we'll look for a counter bounce there. So also posted that price action movement, what to expect before it would take place on a YouTube short this morning. So if you want to go back and watch that too, feel free. It's pretty basic. It's basically everything I'm telling you now. We just take a VWAP, market runs up. When it runs out of steam, it's going to pull back to there. Then we're going to look for a bounce, right? So let's kind of walk back a second. So what do we know? We know yesterday when the market flipped the 50 SMA, we're positive. They run the markets up higher overnight, establish a pretty good trend in the morning. We take a volume weighted average price and track the volume of this long bias move. Tells us we got a VWAP right there. It's untested, so we back test. And then obviously this is a long bias trend, back testing support. So then we pop it, right? So far what I would kind of categorize, not all, but some of the strategy that we use here is that we pretty much just went to a short-term algorithmic flip long, use volume weighted average prices to then figure out where the pullback would be pre-market. Where it would pull back to, arguably, and then where a little bit of a counter bounce could be after that dip. Right. So that's so far pretty much what we've done this morning. There's obviously other things if you use other strategies in Fibonacci. I mean, there's already other things we're looking at, like for example, the golden pocket of this candle never really tested. Maybe it's testing now. Okay, it did test, right? So that's another thing, that the golden pocket of this candle never tested. So arguably ran markets up, get golden pocket. Like there's a million different things you could really be looking at and why we may be doing one thing or the other. But nonetheless, so that's pretty much that, right? Markets up, going up, cool. So that tells me so far that this is going to be an important over-under price for me. So the price of like 667.10 on the market, and that can change because it's a VWAP. So like going into the open, that price point can kind of change a little bit. It's not always so, stagnant, if you will, or stationary. So yeah, it's just a long bias environment for the moment until proven otherwise, right? So what would proven otherwise look like? Let me bring up the volatility index. Where is that at? There it is. Okay. I kind of changed around a bunch of my charts because I was doing a bunch of crazy stuff with sectors, and I kind of don't like it. But anyways, So we're just going to work off this upper left chart. Wait, where's my... That's not right. Wait, that is... But where is it? Wait, what's going on? That's weird. Maybe it's just so zoomed out. Oh, that's why. All right. So looking at the VIX, I haven't even looked at the VIX this morning, but it's not going to take too long to figure out what's really going on. So 1 second. Same price. Down there. Okay. So the market is the market's on the VIX is very interesting this morning. Now that I'm looking at it, so how do I want to go about explaining this? We're gonna go back up to this chart. All right, and actually, I think I want to bring up the trading view chart alongside this one too. So we're gonna go like this. All right. Oh, get back over there, baby. There we go. All right, so I want to try to explain a little bit more detail here. So regardless of all the things we may have talked about yesterday and what we thought and maybe it'll do that and whatever, right? Let's take a step back and just read what the market really did from a simple view, right? So ultimately, yesterday the market was up and then it got crashed, pretty much, right? Now, if you guys remember yesterday in our stream, we logged off. I can't remember where the market, I think it was like just hit highs and was coming down a little bit. And that's where we're like, all right, we're pretty much done with the long for the moment, right? Could it go higher? Sure. Or it could top out here. So what are we looking for? We're looking at the VIX. So yesterday when the market was trading at highs here, we are looking at the volatility index where I'm going to put this arrow just down there, which you don't, there it is. You might be able to see that. I'll zoom in. All right, well actually before I zoom in, I should actually not. All right, so yesterday we're looking at, down here on the VIX. To put it simply, yesterday when the market was trading at highs, the VIX was coming to back test its trend support. Okay, now could it have broken down and went down and the market continued higher? Absolutely. But this is the volume, or this is the SMA trend we follow. So ultimately we had a volatility breakout, volatility is up, markets are more fearful. The VIX has not broken down support. That means there's still fear in the market, right? So since the VIX had not yet broken down the SMA trend, it means the markets can still be fearful, all right? So yesterday, what did we see? We saw the markets going up long while the VIX had not yet broken down. So yesterday, markets are going upwards while the volatility index is signaling to say, well, market is going up long yesterday while the volatility index has not yet signaled the markets are no longer fearful. VIX being over that SMA means there is still fear in the market. Okay? What do you see? You see the VIX hold its fear. We'll just call it the fear line. Fear up or fear down line. So, fear is up. Yesterday, VIX pulls back to the fear line, and it holds support and increases fear. Here's your market getting whacked yesterday. So ultimately, all yesterday was a short-term long to pull the VIX back to support, have fear get bought up again, and then we dump the market. All right? So what's going on today? Basically the same thing as yesterday, to a degree. All right? Let me explain. So what have we seen? Overnight, we have a long. So the markets are going up long. Is the VIX still fearful? Let's check. We just said if the VIX is over this SMA, fear is still within the market. So where's that SMA? It's right here. Well, we can't see if the price is above or below it because this is a regular trading hours chart. So we got to go look at the pre-market. And we're going to see if the VIX is above or below $20.04. Go into a pre-market chart here. 1 second. There we are. And you can see what? The VIX is sitting where? Right on that 50 SMA. Coincidence? Not really. Makes perfect sense. Why? I don't know why, but it just does. Well, I do know why, but anyways, it's just pointless of me saying that. It's just like, yeah, anyway, so you get the point. We're at the 50 SMA now. So when you're looking at the market and you're going, is the market going to go up? Is the market going to go down? Well, really it could do whatever the hell it wants. But the VIX could be a very good confirmation or thing to watch today to kind of help you. Why? Because we know that if VIX stays above this price, the yellow line, $20 and some change, and breaks up, that means fear is still in the market. Therefore, this long, optimism may get crushed if the fear of the market persists. If the fear of the market does not persist and we break down, that means fear is going into a downtrend. And then what happens to the long? The long persists. Okay? So we already flipped the market positive back here. So the market is going long based off of SPY reasons. I'll just put an R. So the SPY and the market are long for reasons that are created on the market itself. For the long to continue here, we will not be looking at reasons for the market. We'll be looking at reasons derived from the VIX. Remember, last night, the market was on the 50 SMA. That's when it was going to decide, well, do I want to go positive or do I want to go negative, right? Now we wake up just before market open and now it's the VIX's turn. Do you want to go positive or negative? And that will help dictate which way we'll move the markets today. All right. So ultimately, if the VIX breaks down today, I would assume the markets are going to pump, right? Then again, the VIX doesn't always play nice, right? So, when we say breakdown, it's like, well, we see, obviously there's a price level on a chart, great. Just because it moves below it for 5 minutes doesn't really mean it's a breakdown, right? So ultimately, we have to see the VIX fear start to decrease and go into a downtrend. If so, it will result in the markets performing much better on the upside. Why? Because right now we have a stock market that's positive, but doesn't yet have confluence with the VIX. So we have two opposing arguments still, to a degree, which is when the markets are bullish, usually the VIX is bearish, right? And when the market is bearish, usually the VIX is bullish. But right now you have a situation where the market is bullish and the VIX isn't yet bearish, right? So we don't yet have those two markets working in unison. When you do, long bias moves usually perform better, right? So we're still in a situation with the VIX that there's still a little fear in the market, which makes sense. I mean, past week's been kind of crazy, right? You have all this China, Trump, fear, 100% tariffs, rare earth, whatever else is going on, right? So people, rightfully so, are a little fearful, right? Makes total sense. Now, granted, I here tell you guys, don't worry about the China trade stuff because there really is no need to worry too much, right? Obviously, it's creating fear in the market, some uncertainty, but we don't let the news trick our psychology into thinking the world's over. We just simply read the markets. We can read that the market is fearful. It's not yet unfearful. But when it turns to unfearful, we're going to rally the market. And then I'm sure the news will say, oh, the trade woes are gone again or whatever, right? So we just simply kind of move with that fear or not fearfulness. So that's pretty much how the market between the SPY and the VIX are currently set up today. So we're going to stay on the long side until proven otherwise. What is proven otherwise? Proven otherwise would be the VIX breaking out, right? The VIX starts to hold fear. Then we're probably going to be less optimistic that the markets are going to perform good on the upside. If the market opens and we look at the advancing declining issues of the entire stock market, when I say entire stock market, I mean New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ 100, S&P 500 issues, volume for the market, etc., etc. If those are not bullish or performing well, then we'll hold off, right? So it's not always what's the VIX doing, right? Sometimes it's what are the stocks in the market doing behind the scenes, right? Yes, I could look at the S&P and go, oh, it's going up, that looks good, or oh, it's going down, that doesn't look good. But that doesn't really tell me what in the market is selling off, right? Or what in the market's getting bought. So today, market opens. If VIX starts to break down, we're going to rally the market. If VIX breaks down and all the market internals look good, we're going to rally the market. If the VIX fear starts to break out and the market internals are not performing well, then we're just not going to have a long move, right? That's all that good. That being said, we're still going to be overall algorithmically long bias as long as the market is over the 50 SMA, which I don't currently have typed out on the screen. So this is 50 SMA. So as long as the market's over that, then just put it this way, we generally won't go into a catastrophic sell-off, right? So pretty much as long as market is over that 50 SMA, there's opportunity for the markets to keep trending up, but also it could, do one of these all the way back down and then continue back up, etc., right? So that's kind of the thing is for the long bias trend, it's you're ways away from where the support levels are at. So either way, we'll have to kind of watch the VIX today, but same stuff we always do. But VIX is interesting this morning. It's right on its over-under, which could dictate whether fear stays or fear goes, and that's going to help dictate how we're going to move markets. Good morning. Good morning. Again, you can feel free to chat. Again, the YouTube algorithms love when you guys chat in the chat. So feel free, ask questions. You can ask me to look at some stocks, and when I find the time, I'll try to do my best there. You can like it, subscribe, share it. MARA, what time is it? 9:20. Plenty of time. And I don't really... Actually, hold on real quick. It looks like maybe... Did any penny stocks change? Let me just take a quick look. Just going to do a quick scan. Ooh, wait. Did that? Nah, I don't... I don't know about that one. That's still below 4 hours. That's not it. Just going to take a quick gander. See if... anything good is changing or break. When I say changes, pretty much is there anything? Yeah, see SCNX. I was a little late. Well, not late. I'm just obviously streaming, and I had to cover our morning market stuff first. But SCNX, that had a really good move. Still moving. The long started at 78.77 cents to 71 cents. When did that start moving? At 8 in the morning. Really? How did I not see that? Well, that would make sense. I was looking at the different scan. That sucks. Well, either way, is what it is. Average true range and daily true range. Yeah, so average, man, it's been a long time since I learned those ones, looked at them, or even really care about them, to be honest. Average true range is like the average movement of your stock or, whatever you're looking at for the day. That's the average true range. I think it's over a 14-day period. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I learned that equation. I think average true range is calculated over a 14-day basis, and that's the average range that your stock or ETF puts in. And then daily true range is just your daily range metric, which, like I said, it's been a long time since I learned those. But one has to do with a look-back period, I think, of 14. The other is more just like intraday. Don't take me totally certain on that, but I'm pretty sure that's about it. Yeah, so we... Not that we don't use, I mean, obviously, but I don't really think of that much anymore. And a lot of people still use it. Just kind of things change over time. So, anyways, that's that. Let me look at MARA real quick. Mara, it is down in the 23s. Well, yeah, so MARA, that started a long move a couple days ago. I mean, As far as like short-term entry, you don't have one. As far as the long term, it's positive. So yeah, I mean, MARA is in a weekly uptrend. It's in a daily uptrend. So that's beneficial, because then that means the longer term trend's more in your favor. Obviously, that can always pull back and do whatever it wants, but at least you're positive over some of the long term stuff. Stocks do not put on big gains over longer periods of time unless they're trending above their longer term averages, which currently MARA is. But it also started its 30-minute buy move on Tuesday at like 9 in the morning, or 10 in the morning. So like Tuesday of this week, 10 a.m. Is when the 30-minute flip positive. So as far as like short-term algorithmic flipping, that happened 2 days ago. So as far as like short-term entry, you're a little elevated, if you will. Long-term is up, so on and so forth, but it's how you would involve yourself in that longer-term trend using some shorter terms. That opportunity was arguably on Tuesday at 10 a.m. give or take. 924. Bitcoin pretty much is doing everything we figured it would probably do, which is let me just go to the daily chart. I have the wrong levels on this one. Let me save this stuff. Go to the next one. Bitcoin. Yeah, so we'll jump over to Bitcoin for like 2 seconds or so. So yeah, when we look at, wait, this one doesn't have them either? Oh, it does. Okay. Yeah, so Bitcoin's just, like I said, there's just a lot of congestion right here for Bitcoin, right? So never really thought it would just be like an easy down swooping all this stuff. And it's mainly just because in order for Bitcoin to go lower, I mean, you just have a lot of stuff that's been built all through here. So you just got a lot of stuff you'd have to, go through to get Bitcoin to go down through some of these prices. But anyways, it's pretty straightforward. We just pretty much our counter levels right now in Bitcoin are this. Let me just take this guy, go like that. All right, so it's already on the chart. Never mind. So right now, this yellow box that I'm drawing and moving, that is our current counter long destination. And then obviously every single box on the downside is kind of where we're expecting Bitcoin to trade down into. So the way the market is set up right now in Bitcoin isn't like, it's not spectacular as far as analysis or telling you guys, what's going to happen, because it's just kind of a goofy, it's just goofy. Again, you have a lot of random stuff here. We could be bouncing at any point, right? That's why I drew this little box here. You see why this little blue box is right here, and there's another one here and here and here. Because any one of these little things could be used for little supports. And we already see it happen yesterday. We pretty much bounced in this box, etc. So there's just a lot going on there. That being said, the box on the upside here, that's the counter long. So either way, if the market pops up to here and it's still below, we still have resistance. So we will only look up to this box when we break above here, etc. So for now, it's possible counter pops into this box and then down to all of these. If we hit down here, I would be more optimistic on there being a counter bounce, but either way. So Bitcoin, really nothing cool going on. We kind of need this thing to either break down or start getting above this box to create like more of like a range kind of move, right? So we're just kind of in this little trappy spot where there's just not a lot of range giving us opportunity. So. Oh, hello. All right, so market is back down to, like we said, the SMA, the 30-minute volume weighted average price, right? So arguably, this is kind of that, I don't want to call it a breakdown level. I mean, it can be used in that way, but we'll just put it on the 30-minute, right? So we've already done what? We've already done the pre-market move up. we've already pulled back to it and we've already bounced it. So if we start to come down below, that's a lot of times where we can arguably see a little bit of weakness come in. So if we start to essentially take this area out, then that's where we kind of start swinging down. So again, as we come down through that 30-minute volume weighted average price, we're less long bias in the immediate because we're just not, right? So we've got a couple minutes. We'll see how the market opens and what the market internals look like, and so on and so forth. As far as the NASDAQ, if we do end up getting weakness and start rolling the market, we're going to look for the NASDAQ, or, well, the QQQ to go down like 604 to arguably 603.82, so on and so forth. And yeah, so we'll get this day going here pretty soon. Remember, all this stuff, any sort of bearish anything we're talking about right now is really just in terms of short-term stuff, right? The market's still over the 50 SMA. So everything bearish is talking about intraday momentum, short-term stuff. And, you know, if the market's still over the 50 SMA, we're still in a swing long market. But anything we do bearish is all just in relation to short-term stuff, intraday. If the trend flips, I'll essentially let you know. Okay, market is open. Let's see what we get. Let me bring up my market internals. Wait, where are they? There they are. Boo, boo, boo. Oh, and I need to see the VIX too. Where'd that go? VIX. There we are. Okay, cool. All right, so marketing is open, and it's the first 1 minute, and everything is kind of, I mean, it's the first 1 minute. It's kind of hard to say, but we do got a little bit of green there on the Mag 7, so obviously probably not going to sell off the NASDAQ or the SPY right now for the moment with the Mag 7 all printing green to start. The VIX actually opened up with a gap, and it is... This market is still fearful. So let me show you. So obviously we can see what? The VIX is over the yellow line. Arguably, market still fearful. But it also provides a situation where if the market obviously doesn't just run out, so the market's on the fear side, so this is going to have to obviously just keep going for us to pull the market back. Otherwise, the VIX is going to fail, and it's going to close this gap, and we're going to come back down. So arguably, we're still on the long side of the market, and we're looking for the VIX to basically pull back down to $20, right? And we should be able to press this market up here. And then if we can bring the VIX down and then it fails the 20, that would give us more fuel for the long. So we'll see, right? So assuming right now we're going to, 1 second, let me open this up to a different screen. A lot going on there, sorry. Okay. Thinkorswim, come on, baby. You've been doing so good for me today. Don't get slow on me now, girl. Don't get slow. It's really just TOS doing what it likes to do, which is pretty much suck once the market opens. My Thinkorswim runs completely fine, and then when market opens, like, oh, just kidding, we're going to be super slow. It's always good. I also run a ton of charts, so it's also kind of my fault, but, you know. So... Again, this is a situation, right? So look at the VIX, right? So the VIX is still over the 30-minute 50 SMA. So that tells us the market's still fearful. So we're not extremely long bias, right? Only if we break down will be more and more long bias, right? So right now the VIX is still fearful. It's still up. That's not the greatest situation for us. But yeah, actually, there is occasionally sometimes where when the VIX is fearful, we actually have really good long moves because everyone tries to short the market because they think the VIX is fearful and then the market blows up. But that's pretty rare circumstances usually. But yeah, so right now VIX is on the positive side. So basically that just means you should be like cautious long. Okay. We still have this is, and then if you look behind the scenes, this is what's going on. The FANG is the only reason the market's up or holding, right? Everything else is dumping right now. So once and if the FANG or the Magnificent Seven stocks stop going up and they start to roll, the market should get pulled back. So you can see the SPY's getting a little weakness here. We're below the 30-minute volume weighted average price, etc. If again, these Magnificent Seven stocks start to print red, that's when you're going to see the markets actually kind of pull or something, but just in general. So we basically have a market that's positive with a fearful VIX. So we're not super long bias and we're not super bearish because we're just not, right? That's so the market's just kind of in a goofy spot right now. Whoa, chart going crazy. I hate that it's like that. All right, so yeah, good morning, guys. Cheers. Happy you guys are tuning in. Look at the VIX 30-min and 1 hour MAC. Where is that at? My charts. There we go. Sorry. Again, guys, with the VIX still being fearful, we're not exceptionally long bias. Okay? We're kind of basically, I would almost say you're neutral to bearish at this point for like intraday momentum, if you will. There's a little bit of red on the Mag 7. You know, to be honest, I really don't look at MACD on the 30-minute or the 1 hour for the VIX all that much. But yeah, you can see it's basically getting compressed. No one knows exactly what to do with it. But yeah, so either way, again, we would pretty much say you're bearish to neutral on today's open for the time being until we really get picked up or until that VIX breaks down. So that's pretty much what we'll be following for the next couple days or whatever, is when the VIX actually breaks down, we'll get out of this choppy environment you've been seeing. That's pretty much all it comes down to, is we just got to get the VIX to go negative and then we go back to rallying the stock market, or vice versa. The VIX stays positive and we keep doing this random, whatever you want to call this, just this up and down, which is fine. You just have to understand we're in the up and down, and the market will chop you up like a Caesar salad if you try to overstay your welcome on one side or the other, because you don't have enough confluence in the market to be one directional right now for extended periods of time. Mag 7 still holding up, so market's not going to really go down. but every other market's not going up, so markets are struggling to go up. I'll bring this screen up real quick just so you can see it again, right? You can see that every other market except this middle left is pretty much like down-ish. So again, it's the major market cap stocks holding up the market today as per usual. But we don't have enough buying pressure across all the other markets to really rally us. And then we also have a fearful VIX right now. So basically you have people like me and you and other guys going, why is the VIX positive and the market positive? That's not a full-blown green light. We're basically sitting on the yellow light at an intersection right now. And we're waiting for the green light. Or wait, that doesn't make sense. You'd be waiting at a red, because the yellow would go to red. So that, it's like backwards, right? You're not on the red light. You're on like a yellow, but you want it to turn green, right? And the only way the light turns green is if the VIX breaks down. And if the VIX breaks down, then the market's going to pump. And then everyone's shorting the market because the market's fearful, gets squeezed. So that's kind of, you know what I mean? Like when you have a fearful VIX, people generally are scared to go long. They might even go short, right? Many do. We do. I do. You do, right? That being said, when the VIX is fearful and you go bearish, right? And then all of a sudden it stops being fearful and breaks down. That's where you'd end up getting pushed out. But any hooser. And then let's just double check this calendar today. 9/10 business inventory. There's nothing really coming up that is, in my opinion, a great catalyst today. Whew. All right, market finally kind of pulling back there. Like we said, you're not super long bias. If anything, you're probably neutral to slightly bear. And even that is just, again, like it's just a very whack day. There's just not enough goodness going on. Hold on one sec. I'm getting a phone call. Okay. here we are once again, back in the stream. Sorry guys, I had a phone call there. Public storage. I think I'm gonna well, I already did cancel my subscription for storing my camper there. Yeah, I love that the city that I currently live in doesn't allow me to park my camper on my property that I basically don't own but rent from the city via taxes. But it's just wild. They don't allow me to park my camper on my property where I pay taxes because I don't know, some other human thought it'd be a great idea to make that rule. I don't know. Good morning. Again, I really don't have a lot to say right now in this moment for the market, guys, and that's mainly just because actually, one second. I gotta look at this. Do we have something else coming up that's... Oh, you know what? Isn't Trump... Someone said, isn't Trump doing something at 3 o'clock? That, again, whenever something weird's happening later today, sometimes things are a little slow, but regardless, I don't know. We haven't been signaled of anything great. Again, we're just kind of chilling. You know, and that's the thing, right? You know, we know the long started here, right? So if you weren't in long there or on that back test, right? Or even somewhere there, right? Now it's up here and you're like, oh, I want to get long and whatever. It's like, well, I mean, you kind of need the VIX to start breaking down or else this long's not going to take off, right? So it's just one of those situations. We have a market today. Not a whole lot is trending out, moving very strong, right? Look at the FANG. Okay, they're going up, sure. Look at the NASDAQ, down, little pop. Look at NASDAQ, down, little pop. You know, S&P, down, small pop. So it's like, we're not super bearish. We're not extremely bullish, right? But we're hoping some of that changes. And when I say and that's all as it relates to like intraday immediate momentum, we're obviously long biased the market because it's positive, but for right now, we need something to change in the market to get that movement we're looking for. Okay, VIX. See, the VIX is kind of moving again. All right, so the VIX is starting to come down. So this is arguably where the VIX is going to sell down to $20.14. Now we're kind of seeing a little bit of the old movement. All right, so let me bring up the VIX. Right, so now we see how the market's all of a sudden starting to pop. You see how the VIX started to break down and go to that 30-minute 50 SMA trend. So we're starting to see that movement on the market. All right, so you see how we pulled the VIX back to the SMA, right? So you see that. All right, I'll just leave it up. All right, if you guys want to take a peek at my chart for like a half a second, right? So we just moved where? We just took the market on the VIX down to the 30-minute trend, right? So this is still support. It's still an over-under. So if the market wants to do something super scummy here, it's about to basically just top this long move and just like basically chill. Watch this. If the algorithms want to hold the VIX here, they're going to basically stall this long on the market. Watch. I don't know for sure. It's just I've seen it too many times that it's very well what's going to happen. It just depends. Again, we're not the algorithms. We're not the computers. We don't control anything in the market, really, at the end of the day. Computers do, and if you know how those computers act sometimes, you can basically predict things from time to time. So there you can see Qs topping, SPY topping a little bit, and arguably what just happened. All we did was just pull the market on the VIX back to trend support. Remember this morning we said, you know, it's pretty likely that we're going to see what? We're going to see the market on the VIX pull back to where? About $20 and whatever cents. That's the 50 SMA, right? So basically VIX just pulled back to support. And since it's not breaking down and it's holding, what's happening? We're topping the market off that long press, right? Too obvious. So now a bunch of kids today just bought long the market right there and got absolutely cooked. There goes someone's account today. That sucks. You got to be in the boiler room network, folks. Got to be in the boiler room network. See, this is why the market is not an easy place. Okay? Because, again, just like that, algorithms control things, right? So just like that, they can pop the market because we're pulling the VIX down to support, and then the algorithms could have broke down the VIX, and next thing you know, the market would have blew up, right? Theoretically, not But, if the VIX would be breaking down, then the market wouldn't have topped out there. But since algorithms run stuff, they're like, we're just going to stop it right here on this SMA, regardless of whatever, and we're going to pin drop the market off high right there. All right? So unless you could, for me, I was able to predict, or I was able to tell or forecast or think that the market right there was going to top because the VIX just hit support. So unless some beginner or some trader has some other metrics or tools that identify the market would top there, then I don't know, right? For me, it was the VIX. So I'm just thinking about when I first started trading and looking at markets, there's absolutely no way in hell I would have been able to, in real time, say, the market could very well top right here because of that, right? It took me 10, 11 years to do. To read a market that quick and that fast, and so I'm just thinking of the trader that's walking into the market today trying to trade. They basically have zero chance, and it's unfortunate. It really is. All right, guys. So why is the market going down right now? Oh, wait, yeah. So remember, guys, we said this morning when the stream first started, we're on the macro long. We will look bearish if we're signaled to do so, right? Or if the market tells us. How would the market tell us? Either the market internals all shift bearish, or if the VIX breaks out or holds support, right? So where's support on the VIX? 2015, 2010, whatever that is, right? So what is it doing? The VIX is holding support and breaking up and bouncing up. So what are we doing? We're topping this market even though it's positive, right? So this is effectively how the market goes into an uptrend, and then we create the tops and the pullbacks within uptrends. We use things like the VIX. So today we use the VIX support to arguably top the market and create the dip within the current uptrend. All right. Now, but yeah, so again, remember this morning, hey guys, market is above the 50 SMA, so it's a macro long, but the VIX is arguably kind of flirting with the over-under. It's still positive, etc. So if it bounces, we're going to stall the long, right? So how do we look bearish on a market when it's in a buy move like it is now? We look at things like the market internals. What are the market internals doing? None of them are moving bullish except for the FANG. They started bullish for the day, but now they're kind of giving up a little bit, right? So no market internals. So we're in a buy move over the 50, but we opened up on the day and there's really nothing moving that bullish. Okay. Also, we're in a buy move on the market, but we're looking at the VIX. And what does the VIX say? The VIX, let me delete this and we'll go back to the 30-minute, right? 1 second, deleting. You guys already obviously know what I'm going to say, but I'm just drilling it into your head every single day because this process repeats day in and day out. So that's why literally you'll hear me say every single day if we're in a buy signal, hey guys, we're in a buy move. We will only look to be bearish if we're told to do so, right? Today, we are arguably told to do so just a little bit ago because all of the two reasons, market internal is a little bearish and the market is still a little fearful, right? So there you go. Now, if and when we break down this 50 SMA, then we'll obviously look more long bias, etc. So on and so forth. So yeah, Yeah, it's definitely algorithms. Yeah, you're right. You definitely don't control it. That's for sure. So yeah, so ChatGPT said that right now with YouTube we're in their grace testing period, which is basically you have to go through, I think, like the first 3 to 6 months consistently streaming this, that, or the other, and basically prove to the YouTube algorithm that you're not just going to be, here for a day or two. So before they'll really start pressing your videos to places that matter, you have to, stay on for X amount of period or whatever, which I guess that kind of makes sense. But nonetheless, yeah, I can't wait for the day that we're, having traders that are just starting today and we can help them avoid buying that top like that. Save them a bunch of money. That will be good. Along with you guys. Dang it, I forgot to keep my coffee on the warming pad and now it's cold. All right, so real quick, can anybody repeat what I was just saying? Because if you can repeat it, then you'll know exactly why the market's moving the way it's moving. So we'll see. See what you guys have to say about that. And actually, I'm gonna make a little poll too. Let's see. Engage with your audience, Connor. Yes, engage with them. Yeah, good sir. Start a Q&A. Answer viewer questions live. There you go. I've released a poll, which is pretty much everything we were just discussing. So hopefully 100% of you guys get that correct. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't want to say, but again, I don't have a whole lot to tell you here, guys. I think Trump may be doing something at 3 p.m. The market doesn't have enough confluence for us to just be gung-ho long. It doesn't have enough confluence to be just extremely bearish for the moment. So oh man, actually, Medi, you're asking about mRNA. It's getting whacked today. So I don't know if there's news on it or what, but this sell-off is getting, well, I don't say it's getting intense, but it's going down. And maybe this is going to go down enough for us to get a little bit of a trend test. So we might have the opportunity for a bounce on not mRNA, MARA, if that goes down to the 30-minute or the 1-hour trend support. So right now I would kind of assume that it has the opportunity to sell all the way off to like $21 or so, right in that area. Does it go there? Have no clue. If it does, it's just a back test of trend, and then when it gets down there, probably would slow. Might be an opportunity there. What else is moving out today? VSTD. Just again, really like a main heads up though is we're just basically like neutral. I don't even want to say neutral to bearish because like you're really, I mean, you kind of are, but not. Again, like I said, it's just a whack morning, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's just it. Just not much more to say. It's all gonna come down to this right now. This is pretty much it. If this FANG and Mag 7 roll over and get whacked, Nasdaq's gonna get cooked. Market's gonna get cooked. Do I think that's going to happen? I mean, when I say cooked, I mean not really cooked either. I mean, the target for the Nasdaq's only down to like 603.80s, maybe 604.28s. So for the moment, I would just basically say don't do anything. I don't know. I don't like the way the market is right now. I've pretty much done nothing since the open. I'm just riding my same swing long right now. That's it. Not to say there hasn't been plenty of money to be made there. I just personally haven't done anything. I'm just riding the long from yesterday. Now, if now that being said, I have debated looking at like some. I have debated buying some. Wow, brain fart, big time. Like TQQ, so on and so forth, SQQ, things like that to, to maybe hedge against the UPRO I've had, but I haven't done that. So again, like I said, I haven't done anything. I'm just basically sitting. There's not enough information here in the market to do a whole lot with yet. Yes, Steve, absolutely. Wherever the 50 SMA goes, I go. Also, another. This is something I've noticed. Happens on. I mean, I've seen it happen on 1 minute, 30 minutes, things like that. But what am I trying to do here? Let me just bring this up 1 second. So. How do I explain this? Yeah, I don't really know if I can. I don't know if it's really worth even trying to explain, honestly. What was your question? Oh yeah, I'm always moving the 50 wherever the 50 SMA goes. So it's like, for example, right now, look at our market. The 50 SMA is down here. All right, 50 SMA down here. And the 50 SMA is still sloping away. So it's like we haven't had a good enough long bias pressure to flip this SMA or move it upwards. But yeah, I'm always moving that price over the 50 SMA. Also, real quick, I know that I didn't do it today, and there's again, as far as strategy goes, I probably have too many to count, right? To be honest. So being able to kind of map them all off every single day in real time, and explain them to you guys, it just doesn't happen, right? But what ended up happening today, I can already see with my eyes, probably. What do we have? We had a gap up today. So what is the rules? Whenever we have a gap, we can do what? We can measure the gap on SPX from the open to the previous day's close. And if the market trades in the direction of the gap, even halfway decent, it almost always will go up to the 161. So this is a day where we pretty much got it. Open to close. We actually shied it just by a bit. All right, so what ended up happening? We had a gap, and the market opened, pressed up, actually missed the 161, but nearly got it there. So it's kind of like an algorithm. Pretty much whenever there's a gap on the SPX, if it's going to follow in the direction of the gap, it almost always gets the 161. So like you could look on this day here. So this was just yesterday, right? Which we did it here. We talked about this yesterday on stream. What did we say? We said, hey guys, I know we didn't talk about it too much, but we have an SPX gap fib overnight. It's already run to the 161. So it's already completed its gap and go 161 target long for the day. Could it go higher? Sure. Is 161 meant to top the market out? Not necessarily. But if you're looking at the overnight gap and where the market can run to with sort of a gap and go sort of, concept, 161, right? So on and so forth, right? Here's another one down here. I don't even know if it worked here though. This might have been too big of a gap, but oh no, pretty much, right? So if you look at this one, again, it missed, but it got very close, right? So there's your gap. By the end of it actually shied. This one's decent example, but ultimately shies. It got pretty close. Like I said, over the years I've taught this strategy. It's become a little less effective, but you can even see back here, right? Here's your gap up to previous day close. You get 161 on that one. Even on this one, or wait, that would be over. Yeah, no, not on that one, etc. Open, close. Even on this day here, you can see it happens. So like even on this, right? So the market actually opened here, popped up, then went bearish. But what did it first do? First hit its 161. So again, you opened up, popped up, hit 161, then flushed out. So again, another little tactic you can use for getting ideas of where markets can go to with successful follow through on gaps. So, you know. But yeah, always marking off that fitty, yes, yeah. This market is so torn between what it wants to do. I, to be honest, don't even know how it's still holding up right now. I'm kind of shocked. Look at this. Literally, everything is down. Even the Mag 7 are rolling over now, and somehow this market hasn't given up. I'm kind of shocked. I would not be going long this at all. Is this going to be our candle? Are we going to finally do something? And when I say do something, just kind of like take out this like intraday choppy range we've been doing. Again, if we do end up taking out this little low on the day, you can expect that the NASDAQ will try to trade down to the price of 1 second. Yes, I don't really. Oh, yeah. Wow, that's cool. That all lines up. Yeah. Again, like it's kind of an impressive market. Yeah, but like I said, the price targets for NASDAQ are really just like 604.29 to 603.78. And the market's even struggling to do that. Let me go back to the VIX. I haven't seen that for a second. What's she doing? The VIX is just staying up. Fears in the market still. Yeah. Again, fears in the market. There's not enough smart people with enough money willing to buy the markets long. That's why they're not going up. Again, the reason, again, we don't control the market. Algorithms do, and the people that have a lot of money, right? And the people that have a lot of money know that the fear of the market is increased. So they know there's no reason yet to be fully blown buying up the market. We can read that there's fear in the market. Arguably, who knows why there's fear in the market, but it's there. So until that fear subsides, the people that got the big pockets aren't going to run this stuff up too much usually. Ba 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 da 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 da. Two. All right. Well, let's just go see how some of our sectors are doing. I was supposed to do that a while ago, but kind of forgot. Sector tracker. Let's see. All right, financials are not doing good today. The best market right now are utilities. So let's go look at the financials. So if we go into the financials, well, maybe, because it's not loading. That's impressive. All right, U.S. Wait, how does that? Oh, I know why. I'm looking at the biggest gainer in there, not the most red. But the question is, why is that bad boy red? Who's getting waxed today? MMC. That's down 8%. Let's go look at MMC. So MMC started a sell move a couple days ago, and now huge gap down after that. Now that's obviously earnings, so basically I would say obviously whoever knew earnings was going to be bad started to go bearish just before it whacked. All right, so that's really doesn't really matter. Let's see what's going up. How about that? Utilities. 1%, it's only $1.98. That's not too much. VST though has gone up a couple, which might be interesting. VST pulled back to support yesterday, so we're late on that. Can't really do much there. $385 from CEG. I'm pretty sure I looked at this yesterday. That one's already started a long move. Yeah, that one's been on a long since back there. Can't do that there. Where's the next hot sector? Technology figures. All right, CRM, that's up 17, so I'm assuming that's going to be earnings. CRM, yep. All right, again, look at CRM. When did CRM go into a long move? Now, granted, it's obviously earnings, but if you look at extended trading hours, we would say to ourselves that once it broke over the 50 SMA, which is right there, and that's really where the market is positive, hence the just straight up move, then breaks positive, pullback, doesn't quite test, but arguably staying positive there. So we really can't do much with CRM in that regard. It's already started. We're too late to that. WDC, let's see, is this, I got an opportunity? Probably not, just based off the look of it, too high already. Yep, let's see. Yep, started a buy move yesterday here at the price of 116 and some change. So we're too late to that in terms of entry because risk is now just way too elevated. So that's no good. What about this guy? It's a $900 stock now. And MU. Oh my gosh, I forgot that stock even existed. MU. Again, guys, there's just really nothing cool happening with the market, so it's not like we even really need to look at it for the moment. Too late to MU. Is there any? You know, I wish I could find a way to create like an actual scanner that tells me this stuff's going to the 50 SMA. I've tried many times, but it just ends up populating really shitty results. Your population pool is almost too big. Like I said, it's computers run the market. The 50 SMA is the start line, but you know, it all depends on if the computers are going to send off to buy algorithms or not. So it's like just because something's crossing your 50 SMA doesn't mean it's going to get a great buy move. It just means that that's generally the start point for good buy moves. Whether or not the computers run the algorithm on, it's a different story. Goog's up, Meta, Netflix. What about some of our big names? Let's see, did Netflix... See, Netflix is still bearish. I've been kind of waiting on this one to flip positive for a long, but it's still bearish. What about Meta? Yeah, Meta started yesterday, so we're late to that. What about Amazon? Amazon's testing right now, so this is arguably one to keep tabs on. If it fails to basically recover here, it's going to break back down. So this is where, you know, basically it's at resistance because it hasn't flipped it positive. So you can see that, right? This is the 50 SMA right here. 50. And what? So market has bounced back up to it, hit it, resistance, try to break over, hold, pop, down, pop, and now below. So basically this is going to have to recover or this basically becomes a top, right? So that's really not ready for the longs. Market's obviously not doing that great. It's kind of rolling over. Like we said, there's no real reason to be long the market. If we can give up the low a day on the Qs, that's where you're going to see QQQ trade down into 604.28 to 603.82, give or take, right? Obviously, it's got to break the lows and goes down, yada, 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 but that's the target area of the breakdown, okay? So we'll go over to Qs real quick. And what did I say? What price is 604.28 to 60? It's basically 604.28, 603.35. What did I say? 604.28 and 604 something. And 603.35. I mean, yeah, this is that yellow box has basically been the pullback target for the Qs since the pre-market, as long as market internals were kind of bearish and the VIX stays fearful, etc. So as long as, you know, market internals aren't very positive, right, then we could expect the markets would kind of pull back, and if they do, we would target the Qs down somewhere into here. So again, we're basically going to do that right now. Ding, ding, ding. Hello. Cheers. Oh, still got a little room to go there, but see, again, you can see we're taking out the low. Where do we trade to? Well, 604.28. This is supposed to be a little lower at 604.28. Well, instead of doing a box, maybe I'll just do a horizontal price point. So 604.28 right there. That's 29, but whatever. And then 604, 603.35. All right, so basically we just hit the high side of our pullback target right there. Okay, so obviously what happens when you hit sell targets, you have counter bounces, right? So basically the short-term sell target for the NASDAQ is at least completed T1. You can, you know, look for a low, whatever. It's just, we just completed that there. Best case scenario would arguably be it, you know, takes us out and goes down to here, but we don't really bank on that. We always obviously want to be out earlier, but anyways, there would be the pullback target there for the Qs. I don't want to say completing, but getting one of the targets, right? So next one would be 603.82, so it would be right in the middle there. All right, so 86% of you got the question correctamundo. Congratulations. You guys rock. Oh boy. What's going on with our friend Bitcoin? Is it doing anything? Oh, it's going down. Who would have thought? There's so many people right now talking about the 4-year cycles won't repeat, you know, and again, I couldn't tell you one way or the other. You know, I've heard a lot of talks too. I've thought about it, and you know, basically I'm just, yeah, I mean, who knows really, I guess. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but there's one thing is for certain. There's a lot, they're like, as far as the populist group, I would say the psychology of a lot of people has shifted to a 4-year cycle won't repeat. So if a bunch of people think it won't repeat, it probably will repeat, right? And if a bunch of people thought it will repeat, then it probably wouldn't, right? So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. All said and done, who comes out on the other side? Correctamundo on this one. Do 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 do. All right, so let's see what the stock market news is today. I mean, obviously, it's probably going to be. I mean, let's see. Hold on. Let's look at what was the economic calendar. So we had jobless claims, core PPI, and a bunch of Fed talks coming up, and then maybe Trump today. So before we even go and look at Google, we would assume what? U.S. retail sales come out, mixed results, market doesn't know what to do, you know, because obviously the market hasn't really broken out and it hasn't really going down. So they're going to just basically say something like markets may be undecided, something around those lines. So let's go take a peek, see if we can figure it out. Stock market news today. Stock market rises. Stock market rises. Nvidia, TSM earnings. Stock market today. Dow futures edge up. Fed speakers do. Stocks rise. Boosted by the AI trade. Solid earnings. Oh yeah, we are in earnings season, so kind of missed that one. But there's really not a ton. Well, I mean, it's about the same amount of news there always is. But yeah, again, really not talking about markets running, not talking about them going down, just basically chilling, right? Which would make sense, right? Because that's exactly what the market's doing. So, yeah, nothing exciting in the news world today, which totally normal. Remember, guys, we did say what? That our sell target for the NASDAQ is, I don't know, again, like coming into the target. So remember, sell targets are support pops, support levels. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if the market, let's just put a bullseye on the chart, right? For example, let's do this. Where the heck did my thing? Oh, right there. So we'll put a teddy bear. So we're going to put a teddy bear down here, right? So let's just say that the market wanted to sell to here. So if it wants to sell to there, but it does not want to sell lower than there, then what should happen there? It should go up, right? And if the market, say, wanted to go up to this this bull, and the market wants to go up to that bull, but it didn't want to go higher than that bull, then obviously that would be resistance. So when you're able to start looking and finding relatively correct sell targets, you then start finding the good supports. And when you can start identifying good long targets, you find good resistance. Why? Because what do markets do? Markets, for the most part, do what? They go lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go like that, right? The ideal supports and resistances are going to be what we call the first tag metrics into either buy or sell targets. Okay? So, what did we have today? We had pullback targets on the NASDAQ down to the prices of 604.28 to 603.35. As the market pulled back on the QQQ to a price of 60, what price is that? 604.29 or so, missing by a penny or so. What's the NASDAQ do? It bounces, arguably because we completed our short-term sell targets for the day. Sell targets are basically a sell target is your support and your long target is resistance. Another way of thinking about that would be like just the other day. Not like, like I said, not that the 161, well, we can even look at it today. Look at this, right? So go into here. Or we'll use yesterday. Yesterday is a better example, right? So what about yesterday, right? So yesterday we said, hey, there's a gap up. Arguably the market went to the 161, so it's completed its long target destination for the day. Then whacked, right? Granted, that also had to do with the VIX hitting support. So this was also like market hit 161 target, VIX hit support. So there's kind of like two catalysts there, if you will. But you can see, right, as market goes up, hits long target, stops out, goes down, right? So basically, your good entries, for shorts and longs are generally the end of a long or a short. Also, something yesterday we didn't really talk about is the 1 hour. Oh, actually, the 1 hour is, I haven't seen the 1 hour for a little bit. This is actually interesting. Wow, that's something I actually was behind on. So we took down the 1 hour, and now we're just basically, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, this is interesting. Interesting. Market is now starting to recover the 1 hour, which is a little bit more beneficial for long. But again, it still depends. What's the VIX doing? The VIX is still over the 50 SMA, so that's what it comes down to. It's still going to come down to this VIX and the fear going away in the market, and then we should be able to kind of continue this rally on the market. Sorry, I just elbowed my microphone on accident. I don't know if that was loud. Will they just freaking break the VIX down already and get back to pumping markets? And then everyone will be happy because their 401ks are going up. Oh, man. I am tired. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. We just want the volatility index to break down, and then the market should go up. And then CNBC will tell you that the trade fears are gone and that the earnings are good, and that's why the market is going up. Do 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 do. Again, I know it's really boring. You probably sit in a stream with some dude just screaming at the charts, telling you to buy every single little random thing, chasing around price action. We don't need to do that here. We already know pretty much what should or should not happen. You just got to sit back and wait for the market to signal. Of course, there's always 36 million short-term trades, right? I could have shown you guys multiple of those, right? I mean, it would just be 1 minute volume weighted average price. Like, we could obviously anchor this high, and that's where our lower high is at, right? You see that? See this high? Dink, goes down. There's your lower high, obviously, right? We could do this. We could take a VWAP. We could anchor to this low here and tell you the market's about to pull back into that, right? Oh my gosh, it just did it. That's crazy, right? So we could be doing that all day long, right? Sometimes I'll do it, sometimes I won't. But those are all, like, it's very important. It's not that it's not important, but again, you know, those things repeat so much over and over and over that, you know, it's I don't want to say it's not very, very special, but it's like, yeah, so what do? We had the same thing we did in the pre-market. Remember how we bounced the pre-market chart today? What do? We took the 30-minute volume weighted average price of the low, and that's what we used to bounce the market in the pre. So real quick, I'll just bring this up. So again, 30-minute VWAP off low. How do we bounce the market initially? We pulled back to VWAP, then we bounced it. So what are we doing right now in the 1 minute? Essentially, we are taking a 1 minute VWAP, doing the same thing we did on 30-minute today in the pre-market, and what? We're just pulling back into that VWAP and then arguably bouncing it. You know what I mean? So that stuff can repeat over and over and over and over and over. And many times that's how the market in the short term just swindles you, right? Because obviously someone didn't know that the market would bounce here, right? So then it goes up and like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna start getting long, and then it's just like, oh, whacked, right? So that's how we swindle short-term markets back and forth all the time. What is going on, Amedi? MARA. What ended up happening on that one? Is that going to go down to where we said it would maybe go down to? Let's see. MARA. Nope. Nope, not quite. They held it prior to, which tells me maybe they used a 15-minute. Let's see. Would you frickin' work, think or swim? You stupid. No, but they're doing a 15-minute back test is what they're doing. Got it. This is a decently important kind of learning lesson, I guess I'll talk about. So we're looking at MARA. So you remember earlier, I'm like, yeah, you know, MARA, it's got room down to the 30-minute, the 1 hour. So let's see. I was like, yeah, it would be nice to maybe look for a dip buy on this stock down towards like here. All right. And or the 1 hour, which is down here. But you'll notice that it's bouncing right now. Now, it could be bouncing on a multitude of moving averages that, you know, maybe it's a 20 or whatever that I'm not looking at. So there could be whatever, all sorts of reasons why it's bouncing there. But one thing that I know is for certain is that if I look here on the 15-minute chart, I'll know that that was the last SMA we broke down, right? So if I look at the 15-minute, that's the last SMA that broke down. And what do we know about that breakdown? At least here on the 15-minute chart, it hasn't back tested, right? So I would basically categorize this bounce myself as more of a counter long back test to retest the 15-minute breakdown. And if we zoom in to say like a 1 minute and we go to the 1 minute chart here, we would, again, you can just look at it on a 1 minute scale. This would be a 15-minute breakdown, no back test yet. And then this is arguably our back test, right? So though we may have been looking for the markets to do what? Go down towards, let me zoom out. Again, you know, like we may be looking for markets to go down towards the 1 hour or that 30-minute, which are the lower yellows for a bounce, right? That's fine. But sometimes something like this will happen. Instead of breaking the 15-minute and selling down to the 30-minute and bouncing, it may bounce back first to do a back test and then arguably go down to the 30-minute, right? So on and so forth. So that's kind of it. And if this market's going to flip back to positive on the 15, it's going to have to be above this price right here. So right now you have a 15-minute downtrend, but a 30-minute and a 1 hour uptrend. So it's basically the control is on the 15-minute right now. And if they want to, they can roll the 15-minute down to the 30 and the 1 hour, etc. Then we would arguably look for maybe some support there and then etc. But yeah, so that's a good learning lesson about how the markets can counter trade just going for back test, you know, and so on and so forth. Don't you know, bump it up. You got to bump it up. And what do you know, ladies and gentlemen, where the market just bounced? Like we said, 1 minute volume weighted average price off previous lows pretty much gives you an expected higher low location. I'm sure they're teaching that on CNBC right now. Don't you know, bump it up. You got to bump it up. Currently working on selling one of my houses. Someone put in a purchase agreement a couple days ago. Their inspection was yesterday, so hoping obviously nothing too scary comes back in that would, you know, change their mind. So hopefully that goes through okay. It's been a house that has caused me more problems than good, but it's been a fun experience owning that one. But yeah, if we can get out of that one, move the capital around to some other stuff, I would be very, very happy. So fingers crossed. Hopefully that comes through for the boy. Yeah. Well, again, we would be looking at a new property. We'd probably be looking at more of a residential house for ourselves, and then turning this current house we're living in into a rental. And there is actually a house that just came up for sale in my area on the lake. Not lakefront, but one street off. Get deeded lake access, so that would be nice. But we'll see if the stars align and it's meant to be, and we'll see. And if those people don't buy the house, then we have a backup offer, except that guy wants to do a land contract. So obviously I'll get, less money up front, and we'll have to structure a land contract deal with the balloon payment after 6 years. But then I also get to operate as a bank for 6 years, so it turns the total sale price of the house to like $650,000. Because I get to collect interest like a bank for 6 years, and then he gives me the balloon payoff. So it's kind of a situation where it's like, I kind of want the second offer, but at the same time, I can just be done with it if the first offer goes through. If I have to go with the second offer, then I'll be looking at ownership of the property for another 6 years, and I'll be seller financing the property to the buyer at a 5.5% interest rate for 6 years. So I'll basically be my own bank for 6 years on this property. And then after the 6 years, he'll pay me out the rest of the money, which brings out the total sale and proceeds of the property like $650,000. And I bought the property for $375,000. So you can see that's a huge turnaround if I do that deal. But then again, I have a bunch of capital tied up for another 6 years as well. So it's kind of one of those things. Yeah, Joe. So my fingers are crossed that I'll just be done with it, honestly. Like, that's really what I'm hoping for. But it's like, in the event that doesn't happen, it's like there's still some hopeful recourse, But absolutely, I'm just hoping to be done with it. And I'm going to clear out some debt on some other stuff, so that'll be good. I mean, right now, the current house I'm in has a 7.8% interest rate. I bought it, obviously, during, like, the peak of... Well, it's not really the peak, but, like, the peak, like, interest rate rising, which I didn't have a problem with because I basically have plans that are outside the norm, if you will. So, yeah, we paid, when we bought this house, it was a 7.8% interest rate, so obviously high. But... we're putting down so much money on principal a month that obviously we avoided, most of the interest. For example, we started with a 30-year mortgage on the house, and I think we've been living here for 2.5 years now, maybe 3, but I don't think so. I think it's been like 2, maybe 2.5. But either way, if we were to just make our regular mortgage payment right now and add no principal on top of it, we would pay the house off in 4 years, I think, maybe 3 or so. So we've taken a 30-year mortgage basically down to like a 5-year mortgage. So we've pretty much avoided all the interest you would even pay at 7.8% amortized over 30 years anyways. Right. So I was okay buying the house during a 7.8% interest rate economy, knowing what I was going to be doing with it, which is paying off the debt extremely fast. So it didn't really matter. I was buying at 7.8, to be honest. So we still got a little debt left on the house, and after the proceeds of the other house, we're going to obviously clear out the debt on this one. So we'll obviously make a return of 7.8% on the proceeds from the sale of one house by paying off the debt on this house. Now, obviously, it's 7.8% interest in savings, but in theory, it is a return because you're avoiding having to pay it in general. Obviously, you guys can see the market is kind of going up a little bit. I haven't really been paying attention too much. I've been talking about the house stuff, but again, the VIX is just kind of rolling down. You can see the 5 minutes actually down. Again, I don't really pay too much attention to 1s and 5 minutes, but every once in a while I will, just for fun. It's less for like trading activity, but if you're looking at this, right, we can still see what? We can still see the 30-minute is positive. Yeah, so right here. So we're still positive the 30-minute, right? And if we look at, let's try the 15-minute. The 15-minute's still positive. Actually, the 15 minutes pretty much lined up with the 30-minute, so you have two moving averages priced in the same exact price point, kind of like a double magnet almost. And then let's look down to a 10-minute. Where's my 10-minute? Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? I don't know. Whatever. Let's go to 5. Exactly. You know what? And that was the thing is I remember when I was 20, 22. Now I'm 32 almost. 23, 24. I'm like, man, can't wait for the market to crash. Can't wait. I'm going to buy something. I'm going to buy something. I'm going to buy something. I did that for years. And then I was just like, I need to buy something. So then I started buying. I'm like, I could be buying high. I don't know, but we're just going to get involved, right? And then I bought my first house, and I bought my next house, and I bought my next house, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all those houses went up from inflation, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So by not waiting, I increased net worth by hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past, 6-7 years. All because really our government behind our back is just printing away, right? So if I hadn't done that, then I would just have money, but I wouldn't have accumulated net assets worth of hundreds of grands over those years, right? As you said, the best thing to do is buy one yesterday. So that's what we did. And sure enough, it worked in a sense. It's really just inflation at the end of the day. So yeah, if anyone's going to get into real estate, best time is tomorrow. Obviously, if you can manage, right? Don't go and blow all your money on a really, overpriced piece of property with, no cash behind you, not consistent, income here or there. You got to be able to manage through some times stuff at times. So yeah, things are going good in that regard. So just fingers crossed, man, this house sells, because it's been more of a pain than anything. But after owning the house, I've learned so much, because that was like my first real rental property. Done so much work on the house to make it better, sellable. Did more handyman work than I anticipated, but was actually very happy to do, because I used to work on cars and all, paint and sand and do body work and all sorts of stuff growing up as a teenager. So handyman work, things of that nature, are not outside of my capabilities. They're well within my means. But you could say I got a little more than I bargained for with that property, which then led to me buying a whole bunch of new tools and all this stuff. And now it's like, all I want to do is go work on something. Now I go and walk into any house. I'm like, I could do that. That's no problem. Or you can kind of start looking at what you do or don't want to handle, and you kind of know what sort of headache you might be getting yourself into once you've gotten enough properties and done enough work. It's just like looking at a stock, right? We can sift through a few penny stocks and be like, it's time, it's not time, it's time, it's not time. Same thing with the property now. So arguably, it was the blessing in disguise that I arguably needed to be even more successful in my future endeavors as far as real estate goes. So it was meant to be. So yeah, obviously markets are going up, right? We're not really surprised. Makes sense. Why? Because remember, right, guys, the market is what? The markets are in, you guessed it, they're in a buy signal. They're positive, but we're just kind of waiting for what? The VIX to start cooling off, right? Which it's starting to cool off, starting to pull back. So obviously markets are going up. And then obviously if you look here at market internals, all right, what's going on in the market internals? The Magnificent Seven, what they do? They stopped selling, started bouncing. Now what's going on with the S&P issues? They've kind of stopped selling, started bouncing. NASDAQ issues, kind of bouncing, kind of bouncing, kind of bouncing, kind of bouncing. So everything that was bearish this morning has stopped selling for the moment, and they're starting to do a little bit of a bounce. All right. And then also our volatility index is no longer going up. It's starting to pull back, and it's going to pull back to this yellow line. You know, that's pretty much what's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then I still don't care. But it's probably going to happen. But anyway, so it's all just, again, it's the same story it's always been from this morning, guys. We're in a buy signal on the market, right? To start the day, nothing was really moving that bullish, and the market is still a little fearful on the VIX, right? So what do we need to happen? We need the equities in the market to stop selling off, and then we're going to need the VIX to break down, and if so, we'll be able to press the market up again. That's all starting to happen to a degree. Now, the next kind of most important thing is still going to be seeing what? The VIX get below the 50 SMA. And when we say get below, it means not just break, right? But break, back test, keep going down, or break and then just sell off, right? So as the VIX comes down to the 50 SMA, that's it. Either it's going to get held like algorithms did earlier, or we're going to break it and it's just going to sell off and the market's going to go booming, or it's going to break it and then it's going to have to back test and then it's going to stay bearish. Or it's going to break it, go for a back test, and then recover, and then the long is going to stall out again. Again, there's only so many options something can do. It can only go up and down, right? So if something goes down and then it breaks down, it has to stay below said level, and then the sell-off continues. So we're pretty much looking at the VIX coming down into that 30-minute area, 15-minute area, and then we'll be hopeful that it breaks down, and if it does, then we'll see the markets continue up, and so on and so forth. Again, it's really... At the end of the day, you look at this stuff over and over and over every single day, and you realize it's generally the same story, just told a little different every day. Oh boy. I mean, what a spectacular day, though, right, guys? I mean, I know it was a little choppy to start, but let's just review, right? Since yesterday, we had mentioned you should be along the markets overnight. Then the markets went up overnight, so that was correct. That's good. And then before the market opened, during the pre-market session, we posted videos to YouTube, and then, I mean, arguably here too, that you should look for the markets to pull back to the 30-minute VWAP. They did that. And then you should look for a bounce at the 30-minute VWAP. They did that. So that's 3 correct trade calls, right? And then as the market opened, we basically said it's kind of a meh market, very slow, very grindy. But the NASDAQ has pullback targets to pretty much the low of day on the NASDAQ. It did that. And then we suggested this is where a counter long can very well take place. And then it did that. So that's 5 trade calls, all correct today on the market by simply following the free stream. That's good. That's not bad. So I think overall, the fact that the day was kind of meh as far as that immediate morning trading action, it's still 5 essentially correct market calls. Actually 6, because we've also suggested that it's still a macro long bias environment regardless of the short-term pullback. So stay swing long and then 5 different short-term trade calls. That's pretty good accuracy there. Did I trade all of those? No. But you don't have to trade everything if you don't want to. That being said, I'm still long biased the market, even bought a little bit more on the last dip. I definitely didn't mention that, but either way, as markets were pulling back there, the Qs and that stuff, I added a little bit more UPRO in that dip. Just because, why not? I don't know. If the VIX breaks down, then the buy signal is going to come through good. If it doesn't, then we're just still the same game we've always been doing. Where is the VIX too? I thought I had it. Oh, it's over there. Oh, they're doing whatever. They're not selling it off to the 30-minute yet. They're still holding it above. So we're not breaking down yet. Easy, no breaky down. Oh, man. Man, Yeah, Mr. Lopez. Joe. To have 10 properties with at the 2-3% is fantastico. All right, can the market ever I mean, like I said, I'm not even like when I keep saying, "Oh, can the market just finally go up and the VIX break down?" It's like I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like yeah, I have a position on long, so it's like obviously I'd like it to go up, but again, I don't. We don't control it. It's the algorithms, right? So we would need the VIX to break down, market to be less fearful, and then things will be fine. But until that happens, you get this lackluster long, right? Bitcoin pretty much doing absolutely nothing, just sitting there chopping like an absolute turd because everyone is scared. Everyone on there is absolutely scared because they know that basically if we don't hold this, it go and I don't know, whatever. It's just doing nothing fun. But yeah, there's a lot of scared people right now on Bitcoin, as they should be, because if the 4-year cycles do repeat, the bear market is here. If they don't, then whatever. We just all make more money as it goes up. Yay. Wahoo. Yippee. What's going on? No worries. It hasn't been the most exciting day anyways. I'd say you pretty much have well, you haven't missed a whole lot, but you have missed some stuff. But yeah, no big deal. Market will be here tomorrow. It's gonna do the same exact thing pretty much every single day. It'll go up or it'll go down. All you gotta do is try to figure out where it's gonna go up or down to. And it generally repeats the same things over and over and over. Mask. What is that? There's another good one missed today. Yeah, today has definitely been a little on the choppier side, as it should be, though. I know you haven't been here for it, but the VIX is positive, so there's fear in the market. Yes, the market is positive, but the VIX is also positive. That creates an environment that means we're fearful. So, like, why is the market long? But at the same time, it's a little fearful. So we're not in a full-blown long bias ripper magoo right now, and that's basically because the VIX isn't suggesting that we should be. So you're just kind of getting the lackluster longs is all. That's good. Dang, that's another good one. I gotta start paying closer attention to my stuff. Missed a lot of good setups today. All right. I mean, yeah, not like I said, guys, not a ton to say. We've already covered everything you pretty much need to know for the day. Again, we're just still riding the long bias momentum on the market to the upside until proven otherwise. Volatility index is still positive. That's gonna need to break it down, and then we'll be fine. Next week is CPI. Arguably, the market probably... this could be a very... with CPI coming up next week, arguably, the market could just be keeping the market and volatility positive till then. So, arguably, we might just kind of see, like... I mean, I couldn't say for sure, but... Again, we do have CPI next week. That's a big catalyst for the market. So the markets could be fearful of the next CPI event. Generally speaking, leading into CPI and FOMC, we generally see increased fear, obviously. So a lot of times the VIX will be up for those reasons. Could I tell you that's the reason right now, being, still a week out? Usually you kind of look for that stuff the week of. So I'd say the markets are more fearful just based off that China stuff, so on and so forth. But with CPI coming up next week, we might not see a scenario where the VIX really wants to break down or give up trend until that happens. So we might just be kind of in this increased fearful trading environment till we get through next Friday. And then CPI comes out, we move the market however we want to do for CPI, then the volatility either increases or subsides. We'll see. But yep, that's kind of what's going on. Oh yeah, by the way, this would be, oh my goodness, will you work already? How is that even, how is it even possible? I don't even understand. I just don't get it. How is that not working? Okay, I appreciate that. Alright, so we know that the long move pretty much started yesterday off of that candle. So most of the volume's been coming in here, and then obviously most of the volume be down there, and then so again, here's the other thing too, is if you look at the distribution channel, so look at this. Remember where we said the buy move started yesterday? So the long started over the 50 SMA there. From from yesterday to now, look at where the least amount of volume's at, right there. Right? Where's the herd? Here, here, etc. Where are we looking to be long? Right there. So that's another thing is when following this system, you are not a part of the herd. You're a part of the few. Okay? Also, here's the 30-minute volume weighted average price of the candle that broke over the 50 SMA. There's your pullback into VWAP and long out of. That's another part of strategy that didn't really show you yesterday, but we also look for. So on and so forth. Oh boy. Okay, 11 o'clock. We're still have kept everyone on the right side of the trend, right? How crazy is that? That since yesterday at what time? Yesterday at the time of, hold on, because this would be down here, so that's the back test. Oh my goodness. Oh, I see, that's moving it lower, that's that. Yeah, pretty much since 1:50 yesterday, 1:50 p.m., we suggested you should be long the markets. And we have stayed with that narrative the whole time. So basically since here to here, we have suggested you should watch mainly long bias and have not changed that bias really. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Right now the market is doing what? It's just testing the volume weighted average price of the low of day trend. So that just means that volume weighted average prices off the high are selling down, creating lower highs back to daily VWAP or intraday VWAP there. Wise up. What's up? I was going to say wise up. I'm like, huh? What is going on, Sam? Oh, we're just doing the same old stuff as usual. Same old. Kind of a boring day. You have a day where the VIX is positive. Same thing with the market. So there's a little bit too much fear in the market to ramp up a serious long. And the market is also not in a bearish trading environment. And we don't have enough bearish market internals to really roll the markets today. But yep, that's pretty much it. Same old. I added some long UPRO last night on the break of the 50 SMA, so just got a small position on riding up the market's swing long right now until the market tells me I shouldn't be, I guess. That's about it. Slowly growing back our YouTube channel, maybe. We'll see. We got to get through 3 to 6 months of consistent streaming before the YouTube algorithm would arguably suggest us to new viewers, if you will. They want to make sure that we're not going to hurt anyone, I guess, or that we are consistent streamers. I don't know. We'll see. I'm enjoying it. Having a lot of fun. Pretty basic stuff here, guys. Like we said, market is just lower highing off the high. You can already see it. You don't even have, I mean, I can see it with my own eyes, but if you just add VWAP here, we're just working lower highs off that top. All right, so just like that. I'll throw 2 on just because, but. All right, so you can see how we're creating lower highs off the top and why we're supporting where we're supporting. You basically have a battle going on between the volume from the low and the new volume from the high, and right now the market is compressed between those two markets. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. Bitcoin still not really doing anything of importance. Not really. Again, we're just in a huge congestion area. That's why this thing's just treating like an absolute turd. But yeah, I mean, arguably, we got a bear market for the next 1.5 years, 2 years. I mean, I hope that's not the case. Like I said, I really hope we don't go into a bear market for like the next 2 years. But you know, what go up must keep going up, right? I was just kidding. Well, I mean, part of me is like, I should just hop off stream now, go finish working in the garage. I'm finishing my garage at home, putting up some subflooring in the attic for storage and walking around, do some electrical, then insulation, drywall. You know the story. You know how it goes. One-minute volume weighted average price for the last low a day, kind of taken out there. So some people stopped out on that candle. It's not anything really crazy to worry about, like I said before. We're just in a lackluster market. You have a positive volatility market, and you have a positive. We should be starting. We're gonna launch the new site next, like Tuesday, Wednesday. So on Tuesday, we're going to start moving over customer information. So I think you're going to receive emails like on Tuesday. And then I think Wednesday we're going to try to launch live on the new site. But it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday. The exact, So yeah, something like that. You're going to receive an email and everyone will receive emails and you'll just have to sign up on the new site. But then other than that, all the subscription and all that customer stuff will be automatically transferred over and we'll start working off our new site next week. Yeah, what was I just saying? Oh yeah, it's just a lackluster market. Like I said, the VIX is positive, the market's positive. When that's the case, the markets are like, what do we do? And you do nothing. You just let the market figure itself out realistically. But yeah, that's how it's set up. We'll just bring this back up. We've been doing this all morning. It's the same thing. Nothing's changed, which is what volatility. Fear is still in the market for whatever reason. I don't know if that's because of Trump tonight, because China, because CPI next week. I mean, that could be a million reasons why. Who really knows? All we know is that fear is currently within the market. And we also know that the stock market is currently trading positive. So why do we have two markets that aren't working together the way they should be? That raises bells. It raises alarms. That's why the market's not blowing up into a long right now, because the VIX is suggesting not to do that. When the VIX breaks down, it will tell us to relong the markets more aggressively. We're just not there yet. Sooner or later, it's going to happen, and then we'll go, see, look, market broke down VIX, and then the market will fly. Fun fact, in a bear market, there's more daily green candles than red. It's just the red candles are bigger. Which, yeah, that does make sense because, historically speaking, the markets go up more than they go down. So, that's another way of thinking about it too. But yeah, it makes sense to me. I never knew that, but it makes perfect sense. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, never knew. Five minute roly. Alrighty. So, I think that's probably gonna be a good spot to end it for the day. Something crazy may end up happening, I don't know, but whatever does happen that I think is worth mentioning, I'll make some short YouTube videos about throughout the day. So if you want to keep kind of tuning in, you could just periodically check back at the Twitter, see if there's a new video. But probably going to hop off here. Like I said, we're just riding up swing long on the market right now. We're hoping that at some point relatively soon, whether today, tomorrow, just in general, that the VIX breaks down. That would help further the long press on the market. If it doesn't, that's completely fine too. Markets change from uptrend to downtrend more times than you can count throughout a year. So, anyways, we'll just keep riding the markets up until suggested otherwise. And then we'll flip bearish if need be. I'll catch you guys back tomorrow morning. Cheers.